Welcome to our public affairs program, The Sounding Board. I'm Mike Smith, new musician. Now, if the FCC was just going through town and thinking, what is that? That is a musical instrument that I'm actually wearing. And later today, you'll be able to check our website, wbex.com, and see me playing this. Priscilla Smith with the Pump House Center for the Arts and Majestic Theater. What am I wearing?
It is actually a development from a washboard, just probably what it sounds like. It is a part of the exhibit down at the Pump House at New Harmonies, and it's called a rub board. And the French name of it is frottoir, and Cajun and Zydeco bands developed it with wings, as you'll see on the website. If you come down to the exhibit, you can try it yourself too. And it puts it so you can wear it on the front and use both hands. And you can use your fingers, Mike, if you want to try it with your fingers there. See how it gives a little different sound there?
My nails aren't long enough, not loud enough either.
Or they use spoons or bottle openers, and the attachment that the Smithsonian has are the bottle openers. So it gives it lots of different sound. It's usually played as a rhythm instrument in conjunction with an accordion. So they play it, and it is meant to give a metallic screeching sound, which it did. See how accomplished you are?
I think the biggest honor for me is that I'm actually wearing something that's a Smithsonian exhibit.
And it fits you so well.
Now, when Priscilla brought this in this morning in the green room, I thought it was some kind of a knight armor piece or something, like a chest plate or something like that. Now, Dan Ramey, who's videoing this, he's actually the only musically inclined person in the building. Could you make any rhythm or beat on this?
Probably.
You want to try it?
I'm running a camera right now.
Well, I can take the camera from you. I appreciate music, and I'm just not very talented in that regard. So let's see. I'm taking the armor chest plate off. Dan's...
For the benefit of our radio listeners.
Yeah, for radio listeners who can't see what we're doing, but you will be able to see this by going to our website, wbex.com, here later this morning.
Ready?
Okay, let's see it, Dan. Maybe it's the little hop that Dan's got going with it. Maybe that's what you need.
The head bob. He's got the head bob with it. And the foot stomping.
I tell you, living in Pike County really pays off when it comes to this kind of stuff, doesn't it?
East Valley education.
Yes, you've got rhythm.
So there, Dan also with his Smithsonian exhibit that he's wearing.
And see, that's how much fun the exhibit is. It's an interactive exhibit. So even just with the one piece that I brought in, look at how much fun the two of you had this morning. Now, imagine if you came to the exhibit.
The biggest concern that she has now, can I get this back?
I don't think
she had to break it to us that we can't keep this.
You don't get to keep it. I am sure you could probably find one on eBay. But if you're not so interested in purchasing one on eBay, I encourage you to come down to the Pump House, especially on a rainy day like today, or even if it's 90 degrees out. Perfect time to come in. It's free admission. Not only do we have the frottoir board, the rub board, we have a diddly bow for you to try. We have spoons to try. There's listening stations, and that's one of my favorite parts of the listening station is there's 24 tracks of originally recorded music that goes through roots music. And they break it down to not just country. I mean, they have like early country. They have a singing cowboy Gene Autry. They have Nashville country, which is Patsy Cline. They have older country, which is Hank Williams. They have Zydeco, Cajun. They have not only gospel, but they have spiritual music, Native American music. There's 24 different genres of music that you can listen to, and they have headphones for you to listen to. There's also places where the accordion, actually where I got that, the station where that rub board is, there's an accordion there, and there's buttons to push to listen how a rub board and accordion are used through different genres of music. So you can let it hear through, Cajun, Zydeco, blues, different kind of music. So you can hear an instrument being used through different roots of music. So it's a wonderful display, and I think that's one of the things people are most surprised about when they come down to the Pump House, how interactive it is. There's boards to open to look at. There's album covers to see. The diddly bow is another one I was just saying. It's actually a piece of wire. It was developed by early blues singers, and it usually was cotton bale wire and was strung between two nails. And they'd either pluck it with their finger or get a piece of metal and pluck it. And so you can try that. And it's hard to play. It's easy to make, and you can make one at home, but it does take some time to learn how to do it. But we encourage you to play it. There's recordings. There's an old radio with dials on it that you can listen to Grand Ole Opry songs. We've had a lot of people come in. It's been very interesting to see the many different generations of people already who have been in, people that it brings back memories to them, to younger generations that have never heard this music, that you have their parents or their grandparents explaining it to them, or they had never heard that music. So it's generationally good for everybody. So we encourage you to come down and.
How long will this exhibit be here?
It's actually up through August 1st. So it's currently up. We are open every Thursday evening. I think that's one of our newer hours that a lot of people haven't taken advantage of. And we have instrument demonstrations every Thursday evening. In fact, last night we had Dirk, who did an acoustic guitar. The next Thursday, we're going to have a dobro. The Thursday after that is we're going to have, I think, an accordion. And the Thursday after that is we're going to have a piano. And all that information's on our website, or if you come down to the Pump House, we can give you that schedule. But for Thursday evenings from 6 to 8. And then once again this Saturday, the second Saturday, gallery stroll, or shop and stroll as it's referred to now, will be open for that. And that's kind of our opening reception, even though we've been open. But a lot of the downtown businesses are featuring musicians such as Bernie and Max have Mount Tabor Band. Schlegel's is actually having a musician as well as an artist for the shop and stroll. And once again, the hours have changed. Traditionally, we've been from 6 to 10, but now it's from 5 to 9. So we encourage you to come down, stop at the Pump House, and go downtown and listen to all the kind of music. And that was the other thing is we're going to have on our website, as well as on the Convention and Visitor Bureau website, is lots of events that happen in the community. We started to compile all the music that was happening in Chillicothe and Ross County during the month of July. And there was no great format for us to do it. There was over 65 events, and that was just us capturing the music that happens here every day. That happens with open mic, it happens with DJ run music, it happens with live entertainment, be it at the dock, at the Cross Keys, regularly scheduled bands like the Goosetown Astonishers. You got Loose Pockets that plays Tuesday at the dock. You've got the musicians that were just here recently have right before this show, have a CD release party coming up. We have bands that are teasers coming back to the theater the end of the month. They're playing. There's a wonderful gospel show that's going to be out at Veterans Memorial. So we encourage you. We have the list, and we're going to try to get that up on our website, but we say it's such a wonderful, huge display of what happens all the time here in Chillicothe and Ross County. And I don't think people really realize how much music happens on a regular basis. A lot of times we hear, oh, what's there to do? And let's go up to Columbus and see a band. Let's go to Cincinnati and see a band. And I think if people realize what opportunities we already have here, they might be more likely to try a lot of the bands maybe they're not familiar with here.
To our listeners just tuning in, we're talking with Priscilla Smith of the Pump House Center for the Arts, as well as the Majestic Theater located in Chillicothe. People know that you wear those two hats, and we talk about the two, but they're actually run by two completely different entities,
yes,
correct?
They are. They are both nonprofit organizations, and they both have nonprofit boards. So it's like if you're familiar with a corporation, it's the same kind of setup in which you have a board of directors, and then you have a director or somebody to operate it. The theater actually does not have any paid staff. We have an office person, Bev, who's wonderful, and she's paid as need be basis. We also have Russ, who's a handy person that changes the marquee or picks up and cleans up and does concessions for us, and he's only paid as need be basis. But all the work that happens at the theater is all done on a volunteer basis. All the grant writing that happens, all the improvements that happen is done on a volunteer basis. And appreciate not only there's a board volunteer, but anybody that helps out there. And the Pump House Center for the Arts, the board of directors is also a volunteer board. So they oversee that. We do have one paid assistant. Actually, we have two now. One is Amanda Rundles, and the other one is a woman we just got through senior programs, which is a federal training program for seniors 55 and over, which I really don't consider senior citizens.
Not anymore.
No, especially the older I'm getting.
Yeah.
I'm like, 55 is not so old. So we encourage you to come down. They have done such a wonderful job, that those two people, learning about the display, the New Harmonies display. They can tell you information about the material that was used for the display, like why was their board used here, why were these colors chose. They'll tell you about. In fact, Carrie gave me. I asked her to tell me what her favorite part of the exhibit was. And she said her favorite part of the New Harmonies exhibit is the New York folk, because I love listening to Peter, Paul, and Mary, Bob Dylan, Joan Baez, and especially Kingston Trio. This was music from my roots. These artists were some of the daily music enjoyment for her. And that was another part we have, is that we have a board up in the gift gallery, which is it's a separate area than the actual exhibit. And we have, what kind of music do you listen to today? And then we ask you to try to identify which one of the roots it came from. So it makes you think a little bit more about, if you listen to hip hop today, and as you're going through the exhibit, which part of that root of music do you think it came from? And a lot of times it could be blends. It could be from possibly something from blues and maybe dance music, and that's how it blended together to get to hip-hop. So we encourage you to do that. The other wonderful opportunity we have, I have to say a big thank you, first of all, to Horizon, who is our major show sponsor, who helped bring the exhibit here to the Pump House, as well as to the Hampton Inn and Valero Gas, because any participant who comes down to the exhibit can enter their name into a drawing. And it's a 2-night stay at the Embassy Suites at the Washington, D.C. Convention Center, which is right downtown. I've been to D.C. It's a wonderful, wonderful hotel. So you get entered in. At the end of the exhibit time, we'll pull out one winning participant, and you get a 2-night stay in D.C., which is a very doable trip. Easy drive over there, easy drive back. And if you've never seen the Smithsonian exhibits, and they're all free, and that's the other nice thing. Here's an opportunity. Not only is the exhibit here in the Pump House free, but if you have the opportunity to go to D.C., the series of museums that are available at D.C. are all free and available to the American public.
One other thing that I remember in our news story with the exhibit, I think David Coyle had a memorabilia. Now, that was just Chillicothe bands?
He does, and we have upstairs over 85 photographs and memorabilia available upstairs. And what he has done is put captions below it. So they're photographs of bands playing, practicing, as well as not bills, but posters that detail different places bands played, such as a Sugar Shack. And it started with, if anybody went up to the Sugar Shack reunion up at OUC, was he had just a single trifold board. So I approached him about, well, let's try to do is bigger. And so it's kind of a twofold. One is to display this information, which is so interesting. We've talked about before that I'm not from here. But even for me to go back and see people, I'm like, oh, I think I know that person. I'm like, oh my goodness, no way. And it's been, there's some people that have been playing since they were 10 years old. And there's pictures of them up there and different bands that are up there. So not only can you go and look at that and hopefully jog your memory and remember the music that was going on, we encourage you too, if you have some of that memorabilia, to make a copy. And we're going to try to put this all as a big compilation and put it all together. And also, if you don't have a chance to come down, if you're traveling on vacation, he has a Facebook page, Chillicothe Rock and Roll History Scrapbook, so you can submit things digitally that way also. And as he captures more memorabilia, we'll be printing it off and putting it upstairs. David's done a wonderful job with the show, so we encourage you not only to come and look at the roots of American music, but then the roots of Chillicothe music.
And we've had a number of those musicians that were in garage bands back in the 60s and so forth that also play with many nationally known artists.
Yes, that have gone on to, I think some of them have been like Pure Prairie League, and...
I know the Cutrights played with some national acts as well over the years.
There's quite a few. I mean, I haven't even gotten through that entire part of the exhibit. I mean, I've seen it, but to actually read all the captions, there's so much information, so much wonderful information. And then, Dan and his trombone that... Speaking of nationally known musicians,
you could have him down on a Thursday night to display how he plays that.
You're more than welcome to do that. And that's actually, we're encouraging musicians, too, if you're a local musician in town and have a card. I just got Corey Breath, who's just here, got his card. So we're also having all that information available. So if people are interested in finding out about bands, new bands in town, please come down. We're going to try to keep all that information together and make it available to the public.
Make sure you see that. It's not every day that the Smithsonian sends exhibits to our hometown, and that'll be at the Pump House Center for the Arts through August 1st.
Yes.
Priscilla, good to see you.
Thank you.
Priscilla Smith with the Pump House Center for the Arts and Majestic Theater, our guest on the sounding board.
The Associated Press...